let's talk about Penguin. New HBO Max show just started up. So this is a spin-off from the Matt Reeves Batman. So you got the problem of this is it's coming from Matt Reeves Batman, which is shit. Like, okay, it looked beautiful. I agree with it. It looked beautiful. It was boring and shit. And Robert Pattinson wasn't very good as a Batman. Like I often quote Robert Pattinson in what I think is going to happen with the presidential election in November, right? When they came out with Robert Pattinson as Batman, you go, oh my God, that sounds shit. But the little puff from Twilight, it's going to be Batman. Hardly fucking imposing, is he? He got me back there. And then, as time goes on, they make the movie. You see the costume. It's an interesting new take. And you go, well, maybe this might be good. Maybe it might be good. Maybe it might be great. And then you go, holy shit, this is awful. Robert Pattinson Batman is awful, and he is. He's totally unconvincing. Right? And the whole world they made, it's one of the weakest cinematic Batmans. Matt Reeves is Batman. Let's compare them. Tim Burton one way better. Adam West version way better. It's I would rather watch the Joel Schumacher Batman over this. At least they're fun. They're silly, right? Which is where I think what they should be leaning into now, right? Well, I think, and I think he probably is, because I think he's got a good idea with the James Gunn stuff. It should lean into an updated Silver Age, have those bright and shining, fun, upwardly, positive ideals, right? Again, but dress it in current day, but it should be very much Super Friends kind of vibe, I think, somehow. And honestly, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting that they're going for. So good for them for that. So this is a bit of an anomaly, right? This is from the, who was it? Who was the DC head honcho before James Gunn? Yeah, well, I'll look it up on X. There we go. X.com. I'll look it up on Grok. Who oversaw DC superhero movies before James Gunn? Let's see if Grok can answer this. Mortal Armada, right? Mortal Armada had a couple of successes. The Mortal Armada era reeks of the same problem that this show and this Batman does, in that it was not made from a place of people who knew, understand, and love the property. And that's also the problem with this show. Look, in today's TV landscape, the one-eyed man is king, as they said in the Valley of the Blind. So this is a real quality production. Really interesting in many ways, right? But for me, it fails as a Batman. Again, yeah, so this is more dour and more grounded than the Chris Nolan Batman, right? Which I liked a lot, but again, that was very much a riff on Batman. If they had Darren Aronofsky, right? Who wanted to do a black Batman who had a mechanic who made a very different take on Batman. I think it would have been equally valid, right, as the Christopher Nolan Batman. And then you have this, and the Zack Snyder Batman, I think, is probably the best cinematic Batman, right? That's the one where it's actually being like Batman, right? So imagine an upbeat, optimistic one of those. That's what I think they should be doing, right? The Joss Whedon stuff, Justice League doesn't really count. And then then you had this, and it was just such a mixed bag. So anyway, it comes from very weak foundations, which is a problem, right? It is a problem, and those weak foundations also carry through to this show, very good, well-produced show that it is, right? And it genuinely is a very good, well-produced show, but it's not coming from a love of the source material, right? It's not a riff coming from a love of the source material. It's more like they've read stuff on Wikipedia, which they're going to like, oh yeah, we can do that, right? That being said, it's I don't know. I find it's a Sopranos-like crime thriller, which I find somewhat inferior to Sopranos. It pisses me off. I mean, it's a fantastic performance from Colin Farrell, who obviously loves being the Penguin, right? He loves this character. He loves this take on thing. He loves putting it together. He's put his entire, as you can see, his entire body into this role, right? He absolutely does, and he's having such a great time, right? Creating this very unlike character, this ugly character, right? Which I guess for a very handsome person, it might be entertaining. Let me tell you, being one of the ugly people, is no great shakes, right? So, quite early on, we get to see why is that he can't walk properly, and it's like he's got these weird extra toes. Oh God, it's gross. Oh, it's just gross. Unnecessarily gross, right? And he this carries on directly from the Batman, which I couldn't remember, and it's a blessing that I can't remember it frankly, because it was a boring piece of shit. Yeah, I mean, that's how I'd say it. A boring piece of shit. The just kind of, I got caught at how boring the Batman is, right? But the characters were killed off in the crime family, probably set up by the Penguin to do that, right? And so now he has a new boss who's like a kid, played by the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel's husband, quite well, right? Which is interesting because not in this DC cinematic universe, but the James Gunn one, his television wife, Mrs. Maisels, is now Lois Lane, which I think is very good casting, right? I think that really is it really looks like it'll be good, right? Also, I like the casting of Mephisto. Was it Morpho? I can't remember. It was the guy from Barry. I'm very optimistic about the James Gunn stuff, and I know we all love Henry Cavill, right? I'm sorry. Yes, he was great as Batman, as Superman, right? But it didn't work out, and not because of the quality, right? It did. Politics killed it, sadly, right? But that's really what killed it. And genuinely, I think the greatest superhero movie ever made was Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's like Lord of the Rings huge, right? I think absolutely fantastic. That's why I think this is wise to steer away from the superhero genre, because it's just dead. It really is. They put out a trailer for Thunderbolts Day. Maybe we'll watch it after this. I don't know. And it's just like you wrung it to death. It needs a cinematic break, right? Or it needs a new, fresh take on it. Again, I think James Gunn's probably going to do good for the genre. Marvel is dead. Even if they do anything good, which I'll be amazed if that maybe the Thunderbolts is. I don't know. Everything they do is shit. It's gay shit, right? Marvel is just dead. The genre is like, throttled to death, right? Oversaturated to death. Anyway, so it's not very superhero-y. So, you can easily like detach it from your head. The color palette, I saw on Danstream, I saw Mega Geek talking about the color palette, and it was very, very, monochromatic. Honestly, not monochromatic. It just had one color palette. You know what? And rather than tying this into Matt Reeves's Penguin, they should have tied it into the Joker, right? The Joaquin Phoenix Joker. This should be the Penguin for that world, right? And yeah, you go, but you was just Penguin and Matt. Who gives a shit? Have him be in the Joaquin Phoenix universe. That actually works so much better, right? Weirdly enough. So anyway, so he's got this new boss, which they don't see eye to eye. Okay, spoiler warning, spoiler warning, spoiler warning, right? Spoiler. He ends up. I don't want to spoil it now. I say it. He ends up doing something that he needs to cover up, and he will very much regret if it gets out, right? So that's what kind of drives that first episode, and it is a good character study into this character, which is nothing like the Penguin. Again, I love Colin Farrell. I love the Penguin. You get neither from this, right? It's nothing like the Penguin. But when he's talking to his boss that eventually he's not going to like, he's talking about there's different kinds of power, right? He talks about like a Marlon Brando, Godfather, like a mafia figure that knew everyone in the community and cared about them. He had a cigar, basically described what he wanted to be, right? What he thought was good, and the new stupid kid boss mocked him for it, and then it didn't work out so well for anyone. Again, during that scene and every scene, Colin Farrell's performance is fucking off the charts, right? It is fan-freaking-tastic. So then you have this odyssey of him having to cover something up. Then he's like waddling around. He's he likes wearing purple suits. So you get kind of like the Penguin, but very much in the real world. So he goes to his car, and he's some kids are trying to like steal his hubcaps, and he ends up essentially kidnapping one of them and making him be his minion for the rest of the episode. And it's really weird, right? Because again, it's a really interesting, character moments where, again, this guy's kidnapped and being forced into criminal servitude. Otherwise he's going to get killed, right? And he's terrified he's going to get shot all the way through it. And you see like some compassion and love coming out of this awful Penguin character towards his like his captive, and it's that's the best part of the episode for me. His relationship with that character is really, again, something original I haven't seen before. Thoughtful, generally speaking, very good. Right? Again, I give this a lot of shit because as a crime drama on its own, it's okay. Nothing great. It's not like as good as True Detective was in its first season, right? As a superhero drama, it sucks, right? So so it's straddling the two uncomfortably, right? Then you got a protagonist, an antagonist in the form of some minor character from the comics that I couldn't tell you who it was, right? It is hang on a second. HBO Max Penguin. There we go, Penguin. Doink. It's Christine Milotti as Sophia Falcone, who is obviously some kind of character from the comics, a minor character from the comics that doesn't really matter. I mean, it doesn't really matter. She's out as Arkham. She's kind of psycho. She's the antagonist, and there's clearly some kind of love interest with her and Colin Farrell. So yeah, they were. As an 8-part season, honestly, its biggest problem is being a spin-off from the Matt Reeves Batman. I mean, genuinely, that's what it is. I mean, I just don't care about that universe at all. I really don't. Boring ass. And again, whilst it was a brilliantly crafted performance, you could. Who was the writer? There was like one major creative force all the way through this. It's where is it? Colin Farrell. Well, look at IMDb. That's it. Not IMDb. Wikipedia. Lauren LaFranc, right? I haven't really heard of her before, but she doesn't strike me as a comic book freak, right? She's apparently she's something called the Hangman. Sophia Falcone, right? Sophia Falcone is a fictional character appearing in the DC comics, primarily associated with the character Batman, debuting in the 96-97 comic Batman: The Long Halloween by Tim. Okay, fine. So she's a supervillain, and you can tell, right? And all that Lauren LaFranc knows is basically what I just read as well, and you can tell, right? This is just like, well, we've got to shape this narrative around comic book somehow. Let's have a look, see what she's done. She's got good pedigree for genre TV, right? Hemlock Grove, I don't know, but it looks genre. She's been a producer for 48 episodes of Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Writer. What did she write? My own worst. She wrote for Truck, Hemlock Grove, wrote 7 episodes of Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., Impulse, that's another superhero show. So I can see why she got the job, right? It's not that she doesn't have like previous, but it just doesn't strike me that it's a passion of hers. It just doesn't. I'll tell you, right? Anyway, so this is an 8-episode mini-series about his rise, I guess. I'd rather watch Sopranos. That's really bottom line. I'd rather watch Sopranos or Burgess Meredith's Batman origin story, Penguin origin story. I really would. I would much rather watch both of those things. Is it okay? Look, I wouldn't get HBO Max over it. I'll probably keep watching it so I can review it. But, that's where I am. It's not really Batman, right? It's not really Batman. My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe. And ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.